Pet parents grieve terribly when a pet dies. But what happens to the other pet in the household when a member of the pet family passes away? In this episode, we'll talk about how dogs and cats handle pet loss. Hi everyone, and welcome to Val Talks Pets, the forum for pet parents and enthusiasts alike. Having been in the pet industry for more than 15 years now, I am going to share with you issues and questions that arise as I work with pet parents on a day-to-day basis. I am not a veterinarian, but I do have certifications in canine, feline, small animal, fish and herptile, and avian health and nutrition from the University of California, Davis Extension. So, this episode comes about because our Rory passed away on January 23rd. I mentioned in one of the latest episodes that we were dealing with a kidney issue with Rory, and unfortunately, it just went pear-shaped very quickly. The positive, however, is that Rory passed at home, quiet, warm, and with his family. We miss him so much, but we are also dealing with a sad doggy. When we adopted Tundra, we had two cats, Esme and Rory. Esme passed away 3 years ago. Esme and Tundra were not all that close. When she passed, we made sure he sniffed her. She too passed at home, and then he seemed to just carry on. He still had Rory, so I don't know if that was a factor. Rory took to Tundra like a little magnet. He loved Tundra, always rubbing up against him, seeking him out to visit when they were outside. They were pals. When Rory passed, we did the same thing and let Tundra sniff him. Over the past week, we have noticed that he is a bit intermittent with eating and is anxious in the morning when he knows we will be leaving. We've discussed the issue that we think he is grieving and missing his buddy that kept him company when we were not home. This is what got me thinking about how pets grieve when they lose another pet. When you think about it, pets think about their family as not just the humans, but also the other pets. It would stand to reason that they would grieve the loss of another pet. And they do. Some of the signs a pet may be grieving, as listed by petdeparted.com, are loss of appetite, lethargy, personality changes, separation anxiety, increased vocalization, inappropriate elimination, aggression toward other pets. Basically, these signs can be a dog grieving the loss of another dog, a cat grieving the loss of another cat, a dog grieving the loss of a cat, or a cat grieving the loss of a dog. The reaction a pet may have to the loss of another pet will be different for each animal, so it is important to look for the signs. I noticed very specifically that when I was getting ready in the morning, Tundra was following me around, coming into the bathroom, giving me his paw, and would not settle. This is definitely different behavior. I think he is anxious, knowing he is going to be alone. A lot of the advice for a grieving pet says that we need to give them a quiet place to process their feelings. Personally, I think this is hard because we want to give them that extra attention they need, and it seems concerning that the grieving pet has gone off on its own. I guess the idea is to be mindful of this behavior and to be reticent of a little personal space becoming depression. HillsPet.com, the makers of Science Diet, dealt with this topic a bit and pointed out that although we may not know the full extent of an animal's capacity to recognize the loss of another pet, there is evidence that there is a period of mourning, or at the very least, a recognition of the absence of the other pet. Some pets react quite clearly to the loss of the other pet, while some may seem to not really notice. The difference here, however, is that the pet may be very aware of the human's emotion and will react to this. As Hills points out, dogs can have a particularly rough time adjusting to a change in the family makeup because of their pack-oriented nature. Dogs tend to see the family, including other pets, as a unit and come to understand their position and role in relation to the rest of the pack. When another pack member dies, this may leave your dog feeling uncertain about his role and how he fits in. In addition to the other symptoms pointed out, a pet may also act withdrawn or whine or howl. Cats may cry. They may pace or search for the missing pet, and cats may change their grooming habits. It's interesting that for a long time, the idea that pets grieve in any way was dismissed as an emotional response. It was thought that a pet was more reacting to the change in schedule than the actual loss of the other animal or the human for that matter. A dog, for example, is equated to have the mind equivalent to a 2 or 3-year-old child and therefore would not understand death. Experts are now strongly disagreeing with this. Studies and scientists are now more open to the idea that domestic animals are sentient and do feel grief. There are examples of animal grief that cannot be denied. As humaneworld.org points out, there are stories of an orca mom swimming with the corpse of her calf, a dog crying on the gravestone of her owner, and elephants stroking the bones of their matriarch. The legendary story of Greyfriars Bobby in Edinburgh is a famous tale of a dog's loyalty and grief. John Gray, a night watchman for the Edinburgh police, adopted Bobby to keep him company during his long winter nights. John died of tuberculosis in 1858 and was buried in Greyfriars Kirkyard. Bobby refused to leave the graveside, keeping vigil for 14 years through all weather conditions. Bobby would leave the grave only for food at a nearby coffee house. The graveyard keeper provided shelter, and the townsfolk fed and cared for Bobby. Bobby died in 1872 and was buried near John Gray. The famous statue of Greyfriars Bobby was erected in 1873 and stands today with worn patches where people have petted the statue over the decades. Did Bobby understand that his human John Gray had passed? Evidence strongly points to the fact that he did and missed him every day. Barbara J. King, Emirata anthropologist at the College of William and Mary and author of How Animals Grieve, says, "Grief is not ours alone," meaning humans. The overall sentiment as to whether a pet will grieve the loss of another pet is pretty overwhelmingly on the side that they do. Grief for pets and humans is very individual. Some pets will show their grief through some of the symptoms pointed out. Others may hide it a bit more and possibly resort to some behavioral issues. Some may just carry on like nothing has happened. There is no right or wrong response. The idea is that we recognize they may be struggling, as well as us, when we lose a pet in the family. And they are also attuned to our feelings, knowing something is up. I noticed when we were going through all the support for Rory, Tundra was a bit different, and I could tell he knew something was not right. As for the length of time a pet will mourn, that too is individual. A pet may grieve for a few weeks to 6 months as they process the loss. Some even suggest speaking to the veterinarian if the grieving goes past the 6 months. During this time, it is important to give them extra support, come up with different activities, and try not to reinforce some of the behaviors that are not the best. For example, If a cat is walking around the house meowing constantly, our instinct is to pet and comfort them. However, Hills states that this is reinforcing the behavior and not allowing the pet to process in their own way. As for getting another companion, it is not recommended until the household has worked through their grief and are prepared for a new pet, not a replacement for the one that passed. Humans process the loss of a pet in different ways. I have lots of information on this in my episode When Our Pets Pass Away. Some people within weeks go out and get another dog or cat. That's what they need. That's not me. I need time to honor the life of my pet and to be in the right place to give the new pet my full attention and loyalty. What we do have to consider, however, is our other pets in the house. Is our other pet ready to deal with a new pet? Have they moved through their grief? It's an important question because a new member to the family is stressful for the existing pet. So imagine what that would be like if they were still grieving their old friend. Well, as I have been compiling this episode, I have noticed a little improvement in Tundra's demeanor. He's not as clingy in the morning and he's eating better. He is now taken to sleeping beside the bed for a while before going to his other sleeping areas, so that's different. Overall, he is getting better as it has just passed the 3-week mark. We all just soldier on. It's tough, as all pet parents know. It's all about time. And for our pets that are missing and grieving the loss of one of their pack or group pals, we have to look for the signs of grief and know that they need a bit more support and love, and we will be there for them. They are there for us. Recognizing is the most important because, as I say, knowing is caring.
Thank you for listening to Val Talks Pets. Please remember to follow and subscribe to ensure that you never miss an episode. To really help the show and make it easier for others to find, please rate and review each episode that you find interesting and helpful. And don't forget that you can also email me at val@valtalkspet.com with any topics that you would like me to address or with any questions you may have. Also, check out my website at valtalkspet.com for more information and cute pet pictures. Thanks for caring.